Welcome to the Worst of the Riot podcast. Coming up, why our military can't be trusted on dating apps.
Also, is it ever okay to lie to your best friend? And more on the Worst of the Riot podcast.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, Radio U.
A woman here, this is just dastardly behavior. A woman in Mexico, she's accused of paying 3 men to go ahead and throw red paint on what would be her future daughter-in-law. But they weren't just throwing paint on her on any day. They were about to throw red paint on her wedding day while she was in her wedding dress. The whole...
That ain't no good.
No good. No good. Trying to ruin the wedding. The whole idea was, I suppose, maybe if we throw the red paint on her wedding dress and ruin the dress before the wedding, she can't get married without the perfect wedding dress. And so they'll have to call it off.
They'll have to call off the wedding?
Because of the dress with the red paint.
The show must go on.
Yeah.
You're not stopping everything. Now it's just a part of the wedding.
Yeah, it's unique. And you just got to roll with it. And also, I don't know if the woman that paid, she is the woman that paid, allegedly, is the mother of the son that's trying to get married to this young lady.
So the mother-in-law?
Yeah, well, it would be the mother-in-law, but she and her family in general not approving. This wasn't the first stunt that they had pulled to try to scare this young lady away from their son and try to call things off, try to get this wedding to not take place. They had pulled other stunts before, and this was like their last-ditch effort, I suppose, on the day of the wedding, throwing red paint on the woman's wedding dress. But clearly, this woman never seen a movie, because what happens in the movie, they show, it's like, well, it's not about the dress, it's about love, and they still get married anyways. Even if nobody's there and they don't get to have the beautiful wedding they imagined, it's about love. And I guess that's what happened, because they did get married.
It did go on. The show did go on.
The show went on. Yeah, they're happily married. Yeah.
How much do you think she paid to have the red thrown on her?
Yeah.
How much would a couple of evildoers have to get paid to throw paint on a woman on her wedding day?
It seems like it's not that big of an undertaking. A lot of times when you're like paying criminals, hitmen, and whatever, you're paying them not just for the deed that they have to do, but the risk that they inherit by doing it instead of you doing it. But I don't think this isn't even a crime, is it? Is it a crime to throw?
I think it's a crime.
You think it'd be called assault? Maybe?
I think it'd be called assault.
Possibly,
yeah.
but
you throw paint on somebody, that's assault. Especially if it's their wedding day, you're for sure getting arrested.
Possibly. So some kind of risk, but I feel like these ne'er-do-wells probably didn't charge a whole lot, right?
I feel like it could be a pricey endeavor.
You think so?
Yeah, because this just seems immoral. This seems really wrong. There's a lot of things you can do, but this just seems like it's her big day. This is like one of the days she's been looking forward to her whole life. So to be the guy who's ruining that feels like you had to pay me a lot of money.
Yeah, or they had to find some thugs that just had no heart at all. That just did not believe in love. Maybe they've been burned. Maybe they've been scorned in the past. And so maybe they did it free of charge. They're like, hey, I know what it's like, and I'm trying to save your son. I'll help you. I'll do this pro bono to save your son from having his heart ripped out by this woman here. You got to wonder, too, why it took 3 people to throw red paint.
Full coverage. You want full coverage.
Yeah, you do. You don't want anything left to chance. Well, one of them presumably they were filming to make, I guess, for evidence to prove to the person who paid them allegedly that they actually went through with it. So I guess that's why, but still 3 seems like a little overkill. It feels like a one-man job, 2 at most. But no good. Once it gets to the wedding day, you let it be.
Nobody does it better. The Riot, Radio U.
If I told you military man has been charged by the Department of Justice for sharing highly classified info on a dating app, you're probably thinking like, You're thinking like a private, just got his start, 18 years old possibly, on Tinder, trying to seem important. But then again, how would he have highly classified information at such a low rank? So then you think it's got to be much sadder than that, even sadder than that. I have a guy here, a retired U.S. Airman, David Franklin Slater, 63 years old, from Nebraska. He was arrested earlier this week, charged with transmitting classified material. Apparently, he had gotten on some foreign dating site and was just giving up.
Oh, no.
Giving up classified info. And wait till you hear the questions that was being asked of him by this supposed woman that he was corresponding with on this foreign dating app. She was asking questions like, American intelligence says that already 100% of Russian troops are located on the territory of Ukraine. Do you think this information can be trusted? You know, like romantic talk like that.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
How is he in charge of anything? How is he even given this knowledge?
Yeah, his classified
He can't figure out he's talking to a robot?
clearance.
How is that even possible?
She went on to say things like, dear, what is shown on the screens in the special room? It is very interesting. Beloved Dave, do NATO and Biden have a secret plan to help us? And he was answering these questions. This wasn't a little bit of a giveaway that maybe this wasn't a romantic interest that really had any interest in him whatsoever.
And he's so easily flipped sides on
Yeah,
us.
he did.
He
just gave it
backstabbed
all
us
up.
all.
He gave it all up.
Just another opportunity to show just the weakness of men. Men are just so weak, so easily manipulated.
Yeah.
It almost, and this is one of those times, it's happened so frequently in the military where they're like giving up codes or their location, and it's always because of Tinder. You're letting these women take advantage of you. And in this case, it's not even a real woman.
Yeah.
It's like a computer.
At least in the
or
movies.
Maybe a dude.
At least in the movies, it's like difficult for, like the woman has to actually be there in person and like seduce the man.
Like
this guy
like
was talking to nobody.
Like Hercules, like we get it. Like
yeah,
Meg,
right.
You got to meet her. She
Yeah.
seemed like she was all into you. I understand.
Yeah.
This one over the phone, over the text, makes no sense to me.
I don't know, but how could you resist a message like, Dave, it's great that you get information about Country Redacted. First, I hope you will tell me right away. You are my secret agent with love.
My secret little agent.
How would your knees not just buckle when you get messages like that?
And you know that obviously Dave here, he's fired.
Yeah.
And they have to replace him.
He committed a crime.
Oh, yeah, they have to replace him with a female. There's no way.
That'd probably be smart, yeah.
There's no way you can hire another man in this role at this point. You need to put a female there because she's not going to be so easily manipulated like a man would. Unbelievable, Dave. Putting us all into shame here.
Yeah, that's the other thing you got to think about is like whatever country was responsible for this, getting him to give up this info. They must think we're such idiots.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, Russia's looking at us just like, what a bunch of dope.
The stories you love with the opinions you hate. The Riot Radio U.
Dune came out this weekend, right? Dune Part 2, massive movie, made a lot of money, very well reviewed. People are excited about it. It's kind of one of the first big movie events in a while. One of the first big, like a really exciting sequels in a while. And so I have here a friend of mine that him and another friend had agreed when the Dune Part 2, when it was announced and everything, we're going to go, but we can't go opening weekend because one of them wasn't available. So we're going to go, like they're going this coming weekend. But the other, like the friend, could not wait.
What do you mean?
Could not wait. It's such a big thing. Didn't want to wait until this coming weekend to see Dune Part 2 for the first time. So he went and saw Dune Part 2 solo without the other buddy. And now it's like, does he tell the other guy? Was he wrong to do that, to not just hold out a week and wait? Obviously, I think we can agree on this. If it's your girlfriend, you don't do that.
Horrible idea.
Yeah, you would never But when it's just us guys, when it's just a couple bros, is it okay to movie cheat on them and go see it without them? And then if you do, then what's the protocol after that? Do you confess or do you try to play it cool and hope they don't notice that you've already seen everything that's happening?
You got to confess.
You gotta fess up.
I think you tell them straight up. Because if it was me, I would be upset. You know, I'd be like, "Are you joking?" But I wouldn't be like beside myself. Now you've ruined my whole weekend.
Right? You're not gonna. What's he gonna do? Break up with you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be your friend anymore.
Yeah.
Because you saw the movie on Wednesday and you didn't wait for me.
Right.
So I would say you gotta tell them straight up that you went and saw it, and hopefully you're still willing to go see it again. But if not, that opens the door for them to invite somebody else.
Ooh, yeah.
That hasn't seen it yet.
That could be the little dig at you. I feel like, I think I just play it cool.
Oh, here we go.
I think I could just.
You're gonna lie.
I think it's not lying. Unless they ask me, did you see this already?
And then you're gonna lie.
And then if they can tell that clearly that I've seen it already, then I might as well just confess. But I mean, how would it come up that you've already seen it? You just don't say anything.
It always comes up.
How would it come
Hudson.
up? All you have to do is make it to the theater for the second viewing. You just got to keep your mouth shut, and then you've both seen it. And so then all you have to do is sitting through the movie. You have to not go, "Oh, really watch this part." You go, "Oh, this is going to be good." You just keep your mouth shut. I know for some people like us that might be more difficult, but you just keep your mouth shut and nobody's the wiser.
But it's not that big of a deal. Why are you lying about something that's not a big deal? You could just tell them.
You could just tell them. But if it's not a big deal, why do they need to know?
Well, it's like lying for something. You're making it a big deal by lying.
By keeping it a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just said the truth in the beginning.
If they discover the truth on their thing.
Exactly.
Hey, what's this ticket stub in your pocket?
Where were you on Wednesday nights?
Yeah. What did you do?
One time you can't help yourself from saying, "Oh no, I've seen it twice."
Yeah.
And you go, "You saw it twice. When was the other time you saw it?"
Yeah. You accidentally blurred out the first time I saw it, I wasn't expecting that to happen. The second time, wait a minute. I think I could play it. I think I could play it cool. I think I'd just keep it a secret. But I understand the urge to go see it the opening weekend because it just feels different too. Seeing it at the opening weekend, everybody's all excited, all hyped up. And maybe I guess that could be an argument for why the first time you're seeing it should be with your friend so that you both have those feelings.
Because I don't like watching movies with people that have already seen it.
Why not?
I want us all to experience it together. You know what's coming, and it doesn't make it as much fun for me. I feel like I'm the one in the dark. It's a different movie watching experience. I like when we're all figuring it out together. I routinely, if I'm watching movies with like my roommate or Eden on the weekends, if they've already seen the movie and I haven't, not watching it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing if it's Knives Out. It's another. Dune is not exactly a mystery.
Yeah, but if they've already seen it, I don't like to be the one in the dark.
Takes away a little bit of the thrill.
It does for some reason for me. And they get really mad at me for that. I say, "Oh, you've already seen it? I'm not watching it then."
It must be difficult to pick up movies with you.
It is.
This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
I don't know if you saw this recently in India, a star-studded affair, a 3-day pre-wedding celebration for the son of Indian billionaire Mukesh Ambani. Some of the people in attendance included Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. Rihanna performed a special concert for the event. A 3-day pre-wedding celebration with a who's who of billionaires and stars.
All for who again?
The son of Indian billionaire Mukesh Ambani. Isn't it crazy? He's Asia's richest man. I've never even heard of this person.
But everybody knows him.
Apparently.
He knows Rihanna.
Anybody who's anybody knows who he is.
When did they meet?
I wonder if he actually had met Rihanna or if he just offered quite the lump sum of money for her to show up, you know?
Because, then you start asking the question, does he speak English? Have they ever had a conversation?
You can't be the richest man in Asia without speaking English, right?
You think so? I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know much about this guy at all. But I know he He had quite the gathering there. 3 days, a 3-day pre-wedding celebration. This isn't even the reception.
This is all before.
You think if the pre-wedding celebration is 3 days long and it has Rihanna performing, what's the reception for the wedding going to be like?
Like, who's going to be on there? How do you top Rihanna?
How do you top that? It's Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift and the Rolling Stones all performing. How do you do that?
Should the celebration, maybe we should start doing pre-wedding parties. Doesn't it feel kind of wrong to have the celebration before the wedding, though?
It does, yeah.
Feels weird.
Because how many weddings wind up not going off, you know? That's something that happens occasionally. So then you're celebrating for nothing. But then if you're somebody who invited and traveled to the wedding, then you're like, well, at least I got to celebrate.
Well, I feel like most weddings end up going on.
Yeah, I guess most.
I've never been to a wedding where it's been called off the day up.
Okay.
Like, oh, she's gotten cold feet.
Maybe that's not the reasoning. Okay.
But I think wouldn't everybody be way less nervous for the wedding if you had a pre-wedding party?
Yeah.
It would calm the nerves. Maybe the day before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even the morning of. Maybe we need to have a party. Have the wedding at night?
Well, then you're starting to get into probably territory where how's everybody going to get ready in time if they're too busy, partying beforehand? That could be a little foible you run into. Also, then you could have people oversleeping, I think.
And you think about this too.
If the pre-party's too much.
So let's say the pre-party, maybe it's kind of like a little flip. You have everybody come to the pre-party and you're all good to go.
Mm-hmm.
She's got her dress on. Hair's done.
Yeah.
But she's not going to walk down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
She's getting ready to go to a party. So then she's all hyped up.
Uh-huh.
She gets to dance, do whatever, and then you walk down the aisle after you've been hanging out, dancing with everybody for a while. You've broken the ice, walk down the aisle, make it a quick little to-do, and then right back to the party. Seems like a foolproof plan.
I'm concerned. Here's my concern, is that if you start having the party before the wedding, then people they're gonna come for the party and they're gonna leave before the wedding happens. Because if you get
that's my preferred.
Yeah, that's right. If you get the fun part out of the way first, who's gonna stick around for the boring part?
Maybe you just have the family stick around for that part.
That's the only people who really want to be there anyways.
Exactly.
And even they, questionable.
You're like, all right, well, thanks for partying with us, guys. We're going to go ahead and just do this quick wedding thing real quick with my family. You guys made this way easier.
Kind of like a funeral service.
There you go.
You invite everybody to the church to remember, but then only the select few go put them in the ground.
Precisely. We need to start modeling our weddings after funerals.
If podcast awards were ever a thing, this show wouldn't win any. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Isaiah, you might want to go ahead and open up the Riot hotline for this one.
877-2-RADIO-U.
It's a question I actually heard JR and Lex asking last night. If you were going to go back to high school and do it all over again, what would you change about your experience? What would you do differently? I'll give you some backstory. The reason it came up is because JR is back in a classroom for the first time in years. He is learning Spanish. He's taking a Spanish class, like not even on an app, like with a person. He's got a teacher. And so the question is then, starting to think about going back to school. If you, for some reason, had to go back to high school, maybe it came out that you didn't meet your requirements and you're not allowed to be a RadioU DJ anymore unless you finish your high school. What would you do differently if you had to go back and do college or high school all over again?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good high school experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot I would change, but I have a couple things that I probably would have done differently. My social life was pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I'm happy with the friends that I made.
Yeah.
I was a social guy. But classes-wise, I would have mixed that up a little bit.
Oh, classes. What classes would you do different?
I would not have taken all of the AP classes that I took that ended up giving me credits in college, which were nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have taken vocational classes.
That's smart. I feel like that's smart.
I could have, if realistically, in high school, if you take a bunch of vocational classes instead of some of the other useless classes, you could graduate with a certificate for a trade right then.
Right.
You could have a 2-year degree or a certificate that could help you make extra cash on the side.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Side hustle, even if it's not what you want your career to be.
So probably would have done a little bit more trade work. Maybe followed my father's footsteps.
I thought you said fathered your own children.
No, followed in
High
my
school would be an
father's
early start for that.
footsteps. Maybe gone into the electrician business.
Yeah. Well, it's too late for you to do that now.
It's not too late for me.
8772 Radio U. I'm curious what other people would say about this, because obviously everybody's high school experience different. So the answers on this got to be wildly different. I obviously, Jaron and Lex asked this last night. I still got to think about it a little more, but I'll share my thoughts coming up next. What would you change about your high school experience if you have to do it all over again?
Oh, hi there.
Worst of the Riot.
Crank that up.
Radio U.
Question we're asking is, if you had to go back and do high school again, what is something you would change? What is something you would do differently given the chance? The reason being is JR and Lex were talking about this last night. JR is back in a classroom. He's learning Spanish. So he's thinking of, kind of reminiscing about his high school days, what he would do differently. For me, the big question for me, Isaiah, has to be, would I go to an actual high school if I had the chance, or would I be homeschooled all over again? Right? That's the big question for me. And I think about this, right? I think the grass is always greener. So it definitely feels like I would be better off if I had went to an actual high school. But then I think it's like the grass is always greener. But then think about this. How many people went to high school that like look back and like, man, I wonder how things would be different if I was homeschooled? Who does that?
I don't know if anybody does.
Exactly.
I've never thought that.
Yeah, right. You went to an actual school. So the only thing I could do is I'd have to go to high school, because I don't think that I don't. This sounds like it's discrediting my mom. It's not, but I don't think I would have turned out stupider if I went to high school, actual real high school. And I feel like I might be. And homeschoolers are going to hate to hear this, but I feel like I might have been a little more socially prepared for the world if I had gone to a real high school. I think if I had to do it all over again and I was given the chance, real high school for me. No homeschool.
I feel as if, and it's different for everybody with the whole homeschool thing.
Yeah.
I feel as if you were properly equipped for public school, for any school. Whether it's private or public.
You think exactly. I would have thrived anywhere.
I think I think some people work better in a homeschool environment. I think you could have done it either way.
Yeah, I'm versatile in that way.
You're a versatile guy.
What's that word? Smart, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
I would have ran circles around the public school kids. Dee said, similarly, when she was given the opportunity to go to a different high school, she would have switched to a better school. And Regina says, I think I would have gotten into theater sooner. I was in one play sophomore year, but didn't really go out for it until middle of junior year. But after that, I was involved with all the productions the rest of the time. So something she found she liked, I guess, and just didn't get into it soon enough. That's the other thing. It's not even about like the school part of it for me, but I think there's different, like, again, social stuff. I went to high school that I could have gone into. Maybe I would have gone into theater. Maybe I wouldn't have played a sport. I suck at sports. But maybe I would have had debate club. Maybe that would have been for me. There's homeschool versions of that, but that's way weirder. It would have been better. It would have been something that I would have possibly gotten into versus there was no way I was ever getting into it, doing homeschool.
Philip says I would have gotten into IT a lot sooner. That's a great answer. That's a fantastic answer.
That is a good answer. That's smart. My mom said, she's listening. She said, I'd be stupider if I'd gone to public school. Well, that's not giving me much credit, is it, Mom?
Thanks for watching the worst of the Riot. Since you made it this far, you might as well like, subscribe, and check out riot.radiou.com for even more Riot.